Let's get right into it. The phantom itch of anticipation, your brain's hypochondriac tendencies. Ever found yourself in a perfectly comfortable setting, maybe watching a documentary about exotic insects or listening to someone vividly describe a nasty rash, and suddenly your skin starts to prickle? You might even find yourself subtly scratching an arm or a leg that a moment ago was perfectly fine. This isn't just your imagination playing tricks on you. It's a fascinating, slightly unsettling phenomenon known as contagious itch. It's a real, documented neurological response. The science behind it points to something truly remarkable: mirror neurons. These are the same specialized brain cells that fire not only when you perform an action yourself, but also when you observe someone else performing that same action, or even just imagine it. In the context of itching, your brain seems to be running a rapid-fire simulation. When you see or hear about itching, your mirror neurons get activated, essentially preparing your body for the sensation. It's almost like your brain is an overly enthusiastic antivirus program, constantly scanning for threats. Someone mentions fleas, and suddenly your internal security system goes into high alert, generating a phantom alert, a little ping in the form of an itch, just in case. This seemingly minor glitch highlights how deeply interconnected our perceptions are with our physical sensations, even when the threat is purely psychological. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes your body can convince itself of things your mind only thought about. Number 9. The grocery cart gravitational pull, a subtle dance of dominance. Have you ever been pushing a grocery cart down an aisle, minding your own business, when it inexplicably seems to develop a strong preference for veering off to the left or the right? You straighten it out, only for it to gently drift back in the same direction, making you feel like you're trying to steer a rogue bumper car. While occasionally you might encounter a genuinely wonky wheel, we've all been there. More often than not, this subtle drift isn't the cart's fault at all, it's yours. The culprit is usually a fascinating aspect of our own physical asymmetry and dominant side preference. Most of us are either right-handed or left-handed, and this dominance extends to our legs, our pushing strength, and even how we subtly lean or distribute our weight. Over the course of a shopping trip, these tiny, almost imperceptible differences in force. Maybe you push ever so slightly harder with your right arm, or your left leg leads more naturally, accumulate. The result? A consistent, gentle bias that makes the cart feel like it's being pulled by an invisible, one-sided magnet. It's a remarkable, almost poetic example of how our inherent physical makeup can subtly dictate our interactions with the everyday world. Your body has a preferred leading foot, a dominant pushing arm, and the grocery cart, in its humble existence, merely reflects that back to you. It's not the cart being difficult, it's just following your lead, a silent testament to the little-known ballet of human biomechanics. Number 8. The spotlight effect at the coffee shop. You're not as center stage as you think. Imagine this: you're at your favorite bustling coffee shop, feeling pretty good. You grab your latte, turn around, and sploosh. A rogue drop of coffee lands squarely on your pristine white shirt. In that instant, it feels like the entire cafe has fallen silent, and every single eye is drilling into that tiny brown stain. You become acutely aware of every smirk, every whispered comment, convinced that your minor wardrobe malfunction has become the main event. This feeling, this intense self-consciousness, is a classic example of the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect is a powerful cognitive bias where we systematically overestimate the extent to which others are paying attention to our appearance, behavior, and mistakes. Our own internal spotlight on our actions is incredibly bright, making us feel like we're constantly on a brightly lit stage with an audience meticulously scrutinizing every move. In reality, most people are far too engrossed in their own inner monologues, their own urgent tasks, or their own phones to even notice. That barista is probably thinking about their next break, the person in line behind you is wondering if they have enough time to grab a pastry, and the couple at the window is deep in conversation. Your tiny coffee stain, which feels like a glaring neon sign to you, probably registered as a fleeting glance, if it registered at all. It's a humorous yet profound reminder that while we're starring in our own personal drama, most of the world around us is just trying to get through their Tuesday. Your brain likes to cast you in the lead role, but the rest of the world often has other priorities. Number 7. The case of the missing sock, Perception Edition. The brain's obsession with completion. The eternal mystery of the laundry basket. Where do all the single socks go? You started with a matching pair, tossed them into the washing machine, and out comes one lonely sock perpetually waiting for its lost mate. While we could blame mischievous gnomes, the Bermuda Triangle of the dryer, or perhaps just a very hungry lint trap, There's a subtle yet powerful psychological component at play that amplifies this everyday frustration, our brain's inherent bias towards completion and symmetry. Think about it. When you buy socks, you buy them in pairs. Your brain registers them as a unit, a complete set. A single sock, therefore, isn't just an object, it's an incomplete object. Our minds are naturally wired to seek patterns, recognize completeness, and even feel a sense of unease when things are left unfinished or asymmetrical. This is known in psychology as the Zeigarnik effect. Though usually applied to tasks, it illustrates our preference for completion and also our general desire for cognitive closure. A single sock, therefore, feels more missing and more noticeably out of place than, say, a random button you find on the floor or a single earbud from a set you rarely use. The absence of its partner feels particularly jarring, triggering a disproportionate amount of mental energy and frustration. It's not just a lost sock, it's a disruption to your brain's preferred order. Your brain truly believes that every sock deserves its soulmate, and when one goes astray, it takes it personally. Number 6, that was obvious. Afterthought, the hindsight illusion. Have you ever been completely stumped by a riddle or spent ages trying to solve a seemingly impossible problem only for someone to reveal the answer and then you immediately exclaim, "Oh, that was so obvious"? Or perhaps you hear about a major news event like a stock market crash or a political upset, and afterward you find yourself thinking, "I knew that was going to happen all along." If so, you're experiencing hindsight bias, often playfully called the knew it all along effect. This isn't a sign of sudden enlightenment, it's a common cognitive glitch where, once we know the outcome of an event, our brains rapidly and unconsciously reconstruct our past knowledge and memories to make the outcome seem more predictable than it actually was. Before the answer was revealed, you genuinely had no idea. But once the solution is presented, your brain quickly builds a coherent narrative, making connections that weren't apparent before, and then falsely attributes that clarity to your past self. It's a mental shortcut that helps us make sense of a complex world by creating a sense of order and predictability, even in chaos. However, it can also lead to overconfidence in our own predictive abilities and a tendency to unfairly judge others for not foreseeing what now seems obvious. It's like your brain is a particularly skilled, if somewhat dishonest editor, retroactively rewriting the script of your past thoughts to make you appear much smarter than you actually were in the moment. Number 5, the curious case of the just one more. Bite, the unit bias loophole. We've all been there, staring into a bag of chips, confidently telling ourselves, "Just one more, then I'm done." 10 minutes later, you're looking at a crumby, deflated bag and wondering where all the snacks went. This isn't necessarily a failure of willpower or a sudden onset of insatiable hunger. More often, it's your brain falling prey to a subtle cognitive trick known as unit bias. Unit bias refers to our tendency to perceive a single unit of something, be it one cookie, one segment of a chocolate bar, or indeed one potato chip, as an appropriate or reasonable amount, regardless of its actual size or caloric content. The problem arises when these single units are small and easily consumed, leading to a cascade of just one mores. Your brain is quite good at recognizing patterns and quantities, but it sometimes struggles with the cumulative effect of small, repeated actions. It's like your internal accountant is fantastic at tracking individual microtransactions, but forgets to check the running total until the budget is completely blown. This bias is why food companies often try to make individual servings seem small, or why bulk deals can be so tempting. Our brains are less likely to register the total amount we're consuming until it's too late. It's a fascinating insight into how our environment subtly manipulates our consumption habits, all thanks to a mental loophole that whispers, "It's just one tiny piece, what harm could it do?" Number 4, why you can't tickle yourself unless you're a robot. The brain's spoiler alert system. Go on, try it. Wiggle your fingers towards your ribs or gently poke yourself in that notoriously ticklish spot under your arm. What do you feel? Probably not much, right? Maybe a slight sensation, but certainly not the uncontrollable giggles and squirming you get when someone else tickles you. Why is it that the very act of tickling, which can send us into fits of laughter when initiated by another, falls completely flat when we try it ourselves? The answer lies deep within your brain, specifically involving a small but mighty region called the cerebellum. The cerebellum is a key player in coordinating voluntary movements and maintaining balance, but it also has another crucial role, predicting the sensory consequences of your own actions. When you decide to tickle yourself, your cerebellum is already anticipating the exact sensation. It sends out a signal, a kind of spoiler alert, to to other parts of your brain that process touch and sensation. This internal pre-warning effectively dampens or cancels out the surprise element, which is absolutely crucial for the ticklish sensation to occur. It's like your brain is muting the funny part of the movie because it already knows the punchline. This remarkable self-monitoring mechanism isn't just about tickling, it's fundamental to how we navigate the world. It allows us to distinguish between sensations caused by our own movements, like the feeling of clothes on our skin, and those caused by external forces, preventing us from being constantly overwhelmed by every single movement we make. So, while you might dream of tickle-proof powers, your brain is actually just being highly efficient, filtering out the unnecessary noise of your own actions.
Number 3. The near-miss phenomenon of good fortune, when almost winning feels like losing. Imagine this: you're driving to an important appointment, running a little late, when suddenly a car swerves right in front of you. You slam on the brakes, your heart pounds, but you manage to stop just inches from a collision. You avoided a major accident, a truly lucky escape, yet instead of an overwhelming wave of relief, you might find yourself surprisingly annoyed, frustrated, or even angry. Or consider buying a lottery ticket, where you get 5 out of 6 numbers right. You nearly won millions, but instead of celebrating your close brush with fortune, you're just deflated by the fact you didn't win. Why does almost succeeding or narrowly avoiding disaster sometimes feel worse than a clear, unambiguous loss? This peculiar emotional response is often explained by counterfactual thinking. This is our brain's tendency to mentally simulate alternative outcomes or what-if scenarios. In a near-miss situation, our minds aren't just comparing the outcome to a terrible disaster, the actual crash winning nothing. They are also drawn to imagining the slightly better outcome that was just within reach, the smooth, uneventful drive, winning the jackpot. Your brain performs a rapid, mental comparison between the actual outcome and a slightly better imagined one, and the resulting gap creates a sense of disappointment or frustration. It's a quirk of human nature that makes us sometimes feel more regret about almost achieving a positive outcome than about failing completely, or more annoyance about an almost accident than simple relief. Your brain, in its infinite wisdom, sometimes prefers to focus on the parallel universe where everything went perfectly, rather than celebrating your current, remarkably intact existence. It's a subtle reminder that our feelings are often shaped not just by what is, but by what could have been.
Number 2. The phantom vibration syndrome, your brain's digital hallucination. You're sitting in a meeting, walking down the street, or even just relaxing on the couch, and suddenly you feel it. That familiar buzz in your pocket, or the slight vibration against your leg. Instinctively, you reach for your phone, pull it out, look at the screen, and nothing. No new messages, no calls, just the silent, stoic rectangle of technology staring back at you. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Welcome to phantom vibration syndrome, a remarkably common phenomenon in our hyper-connected world. This isn't a sign that you're going crazy, or that your phone is secretly messing with your head. It's a fascinating, almost endearing glitch in your brain's sensory processing. Some researchers suggest it's linked to the brain's expectancy bias and perceptual priming. Our minds are constantly primed and expecting notifications, especially given how frequently our phones buzz throughout the day. This strong expectation means that even ambiguous sensory input, like the subtle rustle of clothes against your leg, a muscle spasm, or even just changes in ambient pressure, can be misinterpreted by your brain as the very specific sensation of a phone vibrating. Your brain, accustomed to the pattern, essentially fills in the blanks, creating a sensation that isn't actually there. It's a modern-day manifestation of how our brains are always trying to make sense of the world, sometimes even creating a reality where none exists. Our relationship with our digital devices has become so deeply intertwined with our nervous system that our bodies start anticipating the digital world, sometimes even conjuring it into existence. It's a testament to the powerful influence our technology now wields over our very perception. Number 1. The mere exposure magic trick. The love affair with familiarity. Think about that song you initially found a bit annoying or just plain unremarkable. You heard it on the radio, then in a shop, then a friend played it, and suddenly, it's stuck in your head, and you actually find yourself humming along. Or consider a brand of coffee you never paid attention to. After seeing its logo everywhere for weeks, you suddenly feel a strange sense of comfort or even preference for it, even without knowing anything about its quality. This isn't coincidence. It's the subtle, pervasive power of the mere exposure effect at work. The mere exposure effect, also known as the familiarity principle, states that the more often we are exposed to something, a face, a word, a melody, an object, even a complex idea, the more we tend to like it or develop a positive attitude towards it, even without any conscious awareness of why. Our brains, in their constant quest for efficiency and safety, interpret repeated exposure as a sign of non-threat. Familiar things are generally safer and more predictable than novel ones, so our brains develop a subtle preference for them. It's a fundamental principle leveraged constantly in advertising, where repeated exposure to a brand name or jingle can build trust and preference, even if the consumer doesn't consciously recall seeing the ad. It's why that slightly annoying coworker eventually starts to feel less annoying, or why old familiar routes feel more comfortable than new faster ones. Your brain, in essence, learns to love what it sees often, subtly transforming repetition into affection, or at least acceptance. It's a powerful, invisible mechanism shaping your preferences and perceptions every single day, without you ever realizing it. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.